Lawyer Edudzi Tamakloe, one of the finest politicians in this country, NDC for Ewo. Ababedi nkomo Ediafa Honorable Kwamna Alexander Afenyo-Markin ne Honorable Sammy Gyamfi Semia Ekosui Ehu. Na se wo chire mu a o kai NPP for bribi. Wose se wo hwe Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia sisi omo ato aba ayi no se onye omo flag bearer in the 2028 general elections na. So omo refia o kai omo. Wose ni enti ana na dodan Akufo-Addo so Bawumia nsa. Now we didn't be the running mates. Mna winning abano obabe vice president in this country now. It was all about this economy, the economy of this country. Ananado see inima enkoye na sidi na huode ekofom enuti na okofa Bawumia eba so obeye entutuye na inyoma akoso tote e wo gana memha. But we see wa wo hwe sa video we ubedi adanse ye say Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia obaye no oferiye enuti ene ema Motu abano eyi no edi free ho ontumi anwene power 2024 general elections no emu. But see ya no NPP4 omohu say His Excellency John Dramani Mahama ori na pampo obo board ma bibiala ekoso kama enu nti no omo pe kwan bi obefa so agu aban no hofi se ne ebe ya Ghana fo ebeti o no mo ato aba ede ama omo because so mo anka bibi angu aban no hofi na se omo ye din a ede be asem na Bawumia okọ campaign na obekọ akọ na Ghana fo gina so ato aba ede ama NPP enu nti no they are looking for any possible means just to get something to say about this government. Send your bay Ghana for because I buy no cry one homody. No more to me at Waba Adiama NPP. Enunti any day year NPP for a now what has a major few GoldBod, any Bank of Ghana. Emporon was this obegiatum no cre. Say, says a major few GoldBod or Mamboka 1.7. No more than fast 10.8 billion. So we are dreading in a mosika se for Kudiga. Now call yeno. In the process of marketing no oboka 1.7 na wenye sika 10.8 billion na akamfaso eniso na IMF a NPP4 ejina omoso ade aka omo asem no edumre bi Ghana koji loan only $3 billion ewo IMF aye no kwesika no amamu hwe conditionalities a omode ma Ghana aye dumbe bi kro na yetimi mfa adwuma ewo Ghana mem ha na se GoldBod omo befi to gold no mo boka sa 1.7 no monya sa 10.8 no dia babehye Ghana economy ni mu amadwuma akoyi a emu ne hen ena eye nti NPP fo de na mo ye no mfaso ben ena ewo so lawyer Edudzi Tamakloe wadi nkomo bibire be pese me ne ye kokotie ensemu a lawyer oka mesro unya unsubscribe ya na subscribe e de ma like video yi share ma odi e bi no so unya bi enhwe yakobo isra ye ko hwe video no mra.
But you see, Roland, why are we even here in the first place? I think that, Roland, sometimes when serious issues come in this republic, if the minority, and I say this, if the minority has taken a more nationalistic outlook on the IMF report, we possibly wouldn't have gotten to the point where it has now been reduced to smear campaign. We will not. A more nationalistic approach to the IMF report would have resolved this matter. Yes, a more nationalistic approach would have resolved this matter. Why do I say this? When you treat an accounting cost as a loss, you'd want to find out what is the motive for that. Roland, after the financial crisis that happened in the United States, or maybe globally, the subprime
2007, 2008.
Yes, the subprime mortgage crisis, when President Obama took over in 2009, do you know what he did? He took a nationalistic approach, an approach that will save Americans' economy, an approach that will build America for the future. He didn't ask, how did my predecessor sit down and allow this subprime mortgage, blah, 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 blah. No, he didn't do that. He took a nationalistic approach. I think at that time, Ben Bernanke was the Fed boss. They introduced what became known as quantitative easing. What was this quantitative easing business? It was to print money into the United States. It's the US alone that has the power to print the dollar. So the Fed decided to print dollars into the system to ease the pressure that was going to happen, because they took the view that a collapsed US economy is not only to Americans but to the world. Therefore, they took a decision to protect the US economy and protect the world. What is this IMF conversation all about? That for the first time, a president comes and says, look, from the time of Don Diego de Azambuja, we have been drilling and mining gold, selling gold since that time. But what has really been the value of gold to us? What has really backed our currency? Look, my brother here would admit, every year, finance ministers from time immemorial only relied on cocoa, syndicated loan, and in most cases, bonds, euro bonds, to provide the necessary support for the Ghana cedi. President John Dramani Mahama was in opposition, having assembled his economic advisors, decided, and it's in the NDC manifesto, that the way forward is to have an institution established called the Ghana GoldBod. We've had the Cocoa Board experiment. So therefore, the NDC decided to set up the GoldBod. It is an innovation. Nobody had done that since time immemorial. Why? Because you notice that gold that is so precious, that can provide the necessary stability for the Ghana cedi, we've left it for foreigners. Regrettably, we had no control over the gold trade, no regulation whatsoever. It has to take President Mahama to do that. And by so doing, what we have achieved for the first time in Ghana's history, Roland, is it not curious that for a whole year 2025, government of Ghana had not borrowed $1 euro bond, but the Ghana cedi is strengthened. When the cedi showed strength, our friends in the MPP said it was short-lived. And Kosiaga, this one, it is just for showmanship. We are in the almost 20th month, correct? And the cedi is still strong. 20 months of strength of the Ghana cedi.
And you attribute that to the innovation?
Is it not curious that the people who said that the Ghana cedi would not be strong enough would not have the humility to say we got it wrong? They are new men, new thinking, innovation. People have decided to think outside the box. I think that the governance system that we have, when you are doing something good, we should have the opportunity to say, this one is good. And I have always, and I said it, I have always maintained that free SHS was a good thing.
Yeah.
I won't take that away.
You can't dispute that. It's a fact.
So if today, through somebody's innovative thinking, thinking outside the box, we have a GoldBod, do you know that, Roland, in a year, forest repatriation into the economy was $10 billion. In 6 years, under the MPP administration, in 6 years, we borrowed $11 billion of Eurobond. Can you imagine the interest payment on Eurobond alone? Roland, just for a minute.
But that's why the minority leader still insists that if you take all things into consideration, the domestic gold purchase program by the government, that's the John Dramani-led government, which is being spearheaded by the GoldBod, has failed as a result of what he calls these losses.
You see,
he said that less than 12 hours ago.
A fair reading, yes. And I choose my word carefully, a fair reading of the IMF report, even the IMF in their report, admits that beyond this, what they crave or they called losses, and I call it costs, if you look at it well, they said the benefit has been tremendous.
And they indicated.
Yes, and in the report itself, they catalog what the benefit has been to the economy. I say this. In 3 years, the IMF gave us 3 billion.
Yeah.
Remember, it's a loan. You pay interest on it.
And conditionality.
And conditionalities. That is money making for the IMF. Now you have a situation where through innovation, you've lost 22 billion, 1.7 billion on getting 10 billion. That's a good business decision.
That's right.
If you invest 1.7 billion, listen carefully. If you invest $1.7 billion into an enterprise, and at the end, it brought you $10 billion.
10.8.
$10.8 billion and a revolving fund. How in God's name can anybody call this a bad initiative? But you see, like I said,
Edudzi, wrap up for me.
our friends in the MPP have found themselves in a quagmire. And I'll explain in 30 seconds. You see, you go ahead of yourself to elect a flag bearer. And the strength of that flag bearer that has been sold to all of us is that he's an economic whiz kid. Now, when he goes into an election leading you with a disaster of a result, right, you would need something more to ignite his campaign. Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia was elected by the MPP as flag bearer on 31st of January 2026. And from that time, he's stuck. Because he needs a crisis. He needs a major disaster, economic in nature,
30 seconds.
to revive his political career.
30 seconds.
Regrettably, that is not happening. And that is why this GoldBod costs, or Bank of Ghana costs, it's now being re-engineered as losses for the purposes of reviving a campaign that is in a quagmire.
Jamal,
I am not surprised at all.